Are you tired of carrying wounds that seem to define who you are? Do you feel like your past has more power over you than your present? What if I told you that you could choose something different right now? In this video, you're going to discover how to choose your self-worth over your wounds and finally free yourself from the weight you've been carrying. I know how hard it is when pain seems to be all you know, but Louise Hay showed us that there's a path to healing through self-love. You're going to learn practical and powerful tools that will transform the way you see and treat yourself. And stay tuned, because there will be a special moment in the video where you can join this community of transformation and consolidate everything you're learning. Your healing journey begins now, and I'm going to be here with you every step of the way. Take a deep breath, open your heart, and let's discover together how to rewrite your story with love and worthiness. Are you ready? Let's begin. The illusion that traps you. Have you ever stopped to think that maybe you're carrying a weight that doesn't need to exist anymore? The wounds of the past, those marks that seem so real, are often kept alive only by our mind. Louise Hay teaches us that our thoughts create our reality, and when we choose to constantly revisit our pain, we're actually feeding it with our own energy. It's like watering a plant we don't want to see grow anymore. The good news is that you have the power to change this. When you realize that your wounds are, in large part, stories you keep telling yourself, something magical happens. You begin to set yourself free. Think of Sarah, a woman who spent years believing she didn't deserve love because her father abandoned her as a child. She carried that wound as if it were part of her identity. But one day, Sarah realized something transformative. Her father's absence didn't define who she was. That pain was an old story, not her present truth. According to Louise Hay, when we change our thoughts, we change our life. Sarah began to question her limiting beliefs and see that her father's abandonment was about him, not about her worth. This shift in perspective was the first step toward her healing. She began to repeat to herself, "I am worthy of love and respect exactly as I am." The mind has an incredible capacity to create narratives. Sometimes these narratives protect us temporarily, but over time, they become prisons. You may be identifying so much with your wounds that you've forgotten who you are without them. Louise Hay always said that we are so much more than our traumas and painful experiences. We are beings of light and love, capable of reinventing ourselves at any moment. When you choose to see your wounds as illusions created by the mind, you open space for a new reality. A reality where you're not defined by what happened, but by what you choose to believe about yourself now. Often, we hold onto our wounds because they give us an identity, a reason for our difficulties. It's easier to say, "I am this way because of what happened to me," than to take responsibility for change. But Louise Hay invites us to a different path, the path of loving responsibility. This doesn't mean blaming yourself for what happened, but rather recognizing that you have the power to choose how you respond to the past. You can continue being the victim of your wounds, or you can become the heroine of your own healing story. The choice has always been yours. And when you make that conscious choice, something inside you awakens. I choose to free myself from the past and embrace my power in the present. What's interesting is that when you begin to question your wounds, you realize that many of them are based on interpretations, not absolute facts. Perhaps you interpreted a situation of rejection as proof that you're not good enough, when in reality that person was dealing with their own issues. Louise Hay teaches us that healing begins when we stop taking everything personally and start seeing situations with more compassion and clarity. Your wounds may have been real when they happened, but the pain you feel today is kept alive by repetitive thoughts. What if you could choose different thoughts? What if, Instead of focusing on what hurt you, you focused on your inherent worth, which never was and never will be diminished by anything or anyone. Who you really are, there's a truth about you that nothing and no one can change. You were born with worth. It's not something you need to earn, prove, or gain through achievements. Louise Hay always emphasized that our worth is inherent. It's part of our essence from the moment we arrived in this world. You don't need to be perfect, successful, or approved by everyone to be valuable. You already are. The problem is that throughout life, we've been conditioned to believe that our worth depends on external factors. Our appearance, our achievements, others' opinions, but that's a great illusion. Your worth is in who you are, not in what you do or what others think about you. Imagine a rose in the garden. It doesn't question its worth. It doesn't compare itself to other flowers, nor does it worry if anyone will admire it. It simply blooms, because that's its nature. You're like that rose. Your worth isn't in being better than others or meeting external expectations. It's simply in existing, in being yourself. According to Louise Hay, when we begin to recognize and honor our inherent worth, our entire life changes. We stop seeking validation outside and begin to validate ourselves internally. This isn't selfishness, it's self-love. It's recognizing that you're a unique and precious expression of life. I recognize and honor my inherent worth. I am enough, exactly as I am. Many of us grew up hearing messages that made us doubt our worth. Perhaps you were criticized, compared, or rejected. These experiences planted seeds of doubt in your heart. But here's the truth that Louise Hay wants you to know. Those messages were about other people's limitations and wounds, not about who you really are. When someone diminishes you, they're projecting their own insecurities. It has nothing to do with your real worth. You may have believed those messages for years, but now it's time to question those beliefs. Ask yourself, is this really true about me, or is it just a story I accepted? The answer will set you free. Think of Maria, a woman who always felt invisible in her family. Her siblings were more outgoing, more academic, and she was always the quiet one. Over time, Maria began to believe she had nothing special to offer. But when she discovered Louise Hay's teachings, something changed. She realized that her sensitivity, her ability to listen, and her kindness were precious gifts. She didn't need to be like her siblings to have worth. She was valuable being exactly who she was. Maria began to treat herself with more care and respect, and the people around her began to see her differently too. Not because she changed who she was, but because she began to recognize and radiate her own worth. I am unique and have special gifts to share with the world. Louise Hay teaches us that self-love is the key to everything. When you love yourself and recognize your worth, you stop accepting crumbs in relationships, at work, and in life. You establish healthy boundaries because you know you deserve respect. You pursue your dreams because you know you're worthy of achieving them. You forgive yourself for mistakes because you understand that making mistakes is human and doesn't diminish your worth. Your unshakable worth is the foundation upon which you build a life of peace, joy, and fulfillment. And the best part, no one can take that away from you. Not your wounds, not your past, not others' opinions. Your worth is engraved in your soul, waiting for you to recognize and celebrate it. Today is the day to start doing that. If these words are touching your heart, if you're feeling that it's time to recognize your true worth, I would love for you to join this community of transformation. Subscribe to the channel, leave your like so more people can find this message of self-love, and share this video with someone who needs to hear this today. And tell me in the comments, what was the most powerful insight for you so far? What resonated most in your heart? Your voice matters here, and I'm eager to read your reflections. Let's continue this journey together. And stay with me, because soon we're going to do a transformative practical exercise together that will help you embody everything we're learning. You won't want to miss it. The voice that changes all. Have you ever paid attention to how you talk to yourself? The voice that lives inside your head, the one that comments on everything you do, can be your greatest ally or your worst enemy. Louise Hay always reminded us that the way we talk to ourselves creates our emotional and even physical reality. If you spend all day criticizing yourself, judging yourself, and diminishing yourself, you're literally poisoning your own well. But if you choose to speak to yourself with kindness, compassion, and encouragement, you're nourishing your soul with love. The question is, which voice have you been choosing to listen to? The one that hurts you or the one that heals you? Often, that critical inner voice isn't really yours. It's an echo of voices from the past, demanding parents, harsh teachers, cruel peers. You internalize those criticisms, and now they've become your own voice. According to Louise Hay, recognizing this is the first step toward change. You don't need to continue being your own tormentor. You can consciously choose to change the tone of your internal conversation. When you catch yourself thinking, "I'm a failure," or "I'll never make it," stop and ask, would I talk this way to someone I love? Probably not. So why do you talk to yourself this way? You deserve the same kindness you offer to others. I speak to myself with love, kindness, and compassion. Think of Jennifer, a successful executive who, on the outside, seemed to have everything under control, but inside, she was tormented by a voice that said she was never good enough. No matter how many promotions she got, the voice always found something to criticize. Jennifer was exhausted. When she began working with Louise Hay's principles, she realized that voice was her perfectionist mother's voice, who was never satisfied with anything. Jennifer wasn't the problem. The problem was that she had adopted a toxic voice as her own. She began practicing self-awareness, observing her thoughts without judgment. Each time the critical voice appeared, she gently replaced it with a loving affirmation. Over time, the cruel voice lost its power, and a new voice, more gentle and true, began to emerge. Louise Hay teaches us that our thoughts are just that, thoughts. They're not absolute facts. You don't need to believe everything your mind tells you. When you realize you have the power to choose your thoughts, you become free. You can question the critical voice. Is this really true? Where did this thought come from? Does it serve me? Most of the time, you'll discover that these thoughts are based on old fears and limiting beliefs, not on your present reality. And then you can choose a different thought, one that supports and uplifts you. This isn't denying your challenges or pretending everything is fine when it's not. It's simply refusing to be cruel to yourself while facing life's difficulties. I choose thoughts that support and uplift me. Transformation happens when you become the guardian of your own mind. You begin to monitor what you allow in and what needs to be released. You become selective with your internal words, just as you would be selective with what you eat or who you spend your time with. According to Louise Hay, this daily practice of choosing loving thoughts is the foundation of all healing. It's not something you do once and you're done. It's an ongoing commitment to treat yourself with respect and dignity. And the more you practice, the more natural it becomes. The voice that heals becomes stronger than the voice that hurts, until one day you realize that the cruel criticism has almost disappeared, replaced by a loving and encouraging internal presence. That's the power of your inner voice when you consciously direct it toward love. Free yourself now. Forgiveness is one of the most powerful tools you have to free yourself from the past and choose your worth over your wounds. Louise Hay always said that holding resentment is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. When you refuse to forgive, you're not punishing the person who hurt you. You're punishing yourself. You carry the weight of hurt, anger, and bitterness, and it affects your health, your relationships, and your ability to be happy. Forgiveness isn't about saying what happened was right or acceptable. It's about freeing yourself from the emotional prison you've put yourself in. It's about choosing your peace over your pain. Many people resist forgiveness because they think it means letting the other person get away with it. But forgiveness isn't a gift you give to the person who hurt you. It's a gift you give to yourself. According to Louise Hay, when you forgive, you're saying, "I'm not going to allow this situation to control my life anymore. I free myself." This doesn't mean you need to forget what happened or trust again someone who betrayed you. It means you're choosing not to carry that weight anymore. You're choosing your freedom, and that choice is deeply empowering. I free myself from the past with love and choose peace in the present. Think of Rachel, who spent years hating the ex-husband who cheated on and abandoned her. She fed her anger daily, mentally replaying all the ways he had hurt her. But that anger was consuming Rachel from the inside. She couldn't open herself to new relationships. She lived tense and developed health problems. When Rachel discovered Louise Hay's teachings about forgiveness, she resisted at first. Why should I forgive him after everything he did? But then she understood. Forgiveness wasn't about him, it was about her. Rachel began a gentle process of release, writing letters she never sent, doing forgiveness affirmations, and gradually letting go of the emotional burden. Over time, she realized she no longer thought of him with anger. She was free, and that freedom opened space for wonderful things to enter her life. Louise Hay teaches us that the most important forgiveness is self-forgiveness. How many times do you blame yourself for past choices, for mistakes you made, for not being strong enough to avoid certain situations? This relentless self-criticism is a form of self-punishment that serves no one. You did the best you could with the knowledge and resources you had at the time. You're human, and making mistakes is part of the journey. When you forgive yourself, you're acknowledging your humanity and giving yourself permission to grow and evolve. You're saying, "I made mistakes, but that doesn't define who I am. I learn, I grow, and I deserve love and compassion. I forgive myself completely and free myself from all guilt and shame." Forgiveness is a process, not a single event. Some days you'll feel you've forgiven completely, and other days the hurt may resurface. That's normal. According to Louise Hay, each time you consciously choose forgiveness again, you're strengthening your emotional muscle. You're training your heart to choose love instead of resentment. And over time, forgiveness becomes more natural, deeper. You realize you're no longer trapped in the past, that you can look back without intense pain, that you can move forward with lightness. That's true freedom, and it's available to you now, in this moment, through your conscious choice to forgive, not because someone deserves it, but because you deserve to live free. The child who waits inside you exists, a child who still carries the wounds, fears, and beliefs formed in childhood. Louise Hay always emphasized that many of our self-destructive patterns and limiting beliefs originate in the experiences we lived when we were little. That inner child is still there, waiting to be seen, heard, and loved. When you ignore or reject that part of yourself, you're perpetuating the cycle of pain. But when you turn inward with compassion and embrace that wounded child, true healing begins. You can't change what happened in the past, but you can change how you care for that child now. Often, we treat our inner child the same way we were treated, with criticism, impatience, or neglect. If you grew up hearing you weren't good enough, you probably continue saying that to yourself today. If your emotions were invalidated in childhood, you probably still have difficulty honoring your feelings. According to Louise Hay, recognizing these patterns is essential to breaking them. You can become the loving parent that inner child always needed. You can offer her the validation, comfort, and unconditional love she may not have received. And when you do this, something profound heals within you. I embrace my inner child with infinite love and compassion. Think of Emily, who always felt inadequate and anxious. She didn't understand where this constant feeling of not being enough came from. Through work with her inner child, Emily remembered how her mother, though well-intentioned, was extremely critical and never showed affection. Little Emily learned that love was conditional and that she needed to be perfect to be accepted. This belief followed her into adulthood. When Emily began applying Louise Hay's teachings, she started talking to her inner child, visualizing her and saying the words that little girl always needed to hear. You are loved. You are enough. You don't need to be perfect. Over time, Emily felt a profound transformation. The anxiety decreased, and she began treating herself with more kindness and acceptance. Louise Hay teaches us that the inner child doesn't need complex solutions. She needs loving presence. She needs you to stop, listen, and validate her feelings. When you feel fear, sadness, or anger, it's often your inner child manifesting. Instead of repressing these emotions or judging yourself for feeling them, you can ask, what does my inner child need now? Perhaps she needs comfort, security, permission to play, or simply to be seen. When you meet these needs with love, you're rewriting the emotional history of your past. You're showing that child she's no longer alone, that you're here to care for her now. I am here for you, and you are safe with me. Healing the inner child is an ongoing journey of self-compassion and rediscovery. As you connect with this part of yourself, you can begin to recover qualities that were suppressed. Your spontaneity, your creativity, your ability to marvel at simple things. According to Louise Hay, when we heal the inner child, we're not just releasing pain, we're also recovering joy. You begin to allow yourself to be more authentic, lighter, more alive, and this transforms not only how you feel about yourself, but how you relate to the world. You stop seeking from others what you can give yourself. You become whole. And from that wholeness is born a strength and peace that nothing external can shake. Your new breath of life. Positive affirmations are one of the most powerful tools Louise Hay left us as a legacy. They are conscious declarations you make to reprogram your mind and create a new internal reality. When you repeat affirmations with intention and feeling, you're planting new seeds in your mental garden. Louise Hay always said that our thoughts create our experience, and affirmations are the most direct way to choose thoughts that support us. It's not about denying reality or pretending everything is perfect. It's about directing your mind toward where you want to go, instead of staying stuck where you've been. Affirmations are the breath of your new truth, and you have the power to breathe new life into your existence. At first, it may feel strange or even false to repeat affirmations, especially if you don't believe them yet. That's completely normal. According to Louise Hay, the resistance you feel is precisely the proof that the affirmation is touching a limiting belief that needs to be transformed. You don't need to completely believe the affirmations for them to work. You just need to be willing to experiment. With consistent repetition, your mind begins to accept these new truths. It's like learning a new language. At first it's uncomfortable, but with practice, it becomes natural. And then, one day, you realize you're not just saying the words, you're feeling them, you're living them. I am open to new possibilities and accept the good in my life. Think of Lisa, who struggled with low self-esteem for years. She decided to try Louise Hay's Affirmations, even though she was skeptical. Every morning, looking at herself in the mirror, she said, "I love and approve of myself." At first, she felt like laughing or crying, because those words seemed so distant from her internal reality. But Lisa persisted. She repeated the affirmation while getting ready, in the car on the way to work, before sleeping. After a few weeks, something began to change. Lisa noticed she was treating herself more kindly. She stopped accepting disrespectful behavior from others. She began making choices that honored her well-being. The affirmation had created a new programming in her mind, and that programming was manifesting in her life in tangible and transformative ways. Louise Hay teaches us that affirmations are most powerful when combined with emotion and visualization. It's not enough to just repeat the words mechanically. You need to feel their truth in your heart. When you say, "I am worthy of love," pause for a moment and imagine what it would feel like to feel completely worthy. Visualize yourself being treated with respect and affection. Allow that sensation to fill your body. The more you connect the affirmation with emotion, the more deeply it roots in your subconscious. And it's from the subconscious that our automatic patterns of thought and behavior arise. When you change what's planted there, you change your life from the inside out. I deserve all the good things life has to offer. Affirmations work best when they're personalized for your specific needs. According to Louise Hay, you can create affirmations for any area of your life you want to transform: relationships, health, prosperity, creativity, inner peace. The key is to use positive, present, and personal language. Instead of saying, "I won't feel inadequate anymore," say, "I am enough and complete exactly as I am." Instead of "I want to be happy," say, "I choose happiness now." Your affirmations should reflect the reality you want to create, as if it's already happening. And then, with patience and consistency, you'll notice that your external reality begins to reflect your new internal truth. Affirmations are your creative power in action, and you can use them every day to sculpt the life your heart desires. The mirror of truth, mirror work, is one of the most transformative and, at the same time, most challenging practices Louise Hay taught us. Looking into your own eyes through the mirror and saying loving words may seem simple, but for many people, it's profoundly uncomfortable. This happens because the mirror reflects not only your physical image, but also all the beliefs you carry about yourself. When you avoid your own gaze or criticize yourself when you see yourself, you're revealing the level of rejection you feel for yourself. But the mirror can also be your greatest ally in the journey of self-love. Louise Hay always said that the most important relationship you'll have in life is the relationship with yourself, and the mirror is where that relationship strengthens or weakens. When you look at yourself in the mirror, what do you see? Do you see flaws, imperfections, everything you'd like to change? Or do you see a person worthy of love and respect? According to Louise Hay, the way you look at yourself in the mirror is a direct reflection of how you treat yourself in life. If you can't look into your own eyes and say, "I love you," how can you expect to feel loved and valued? Mirror work is about creating a new relationship with yourself, a relationship based on acceptance, compassion, and unconditional love. It's about learning to be your own best friend, your greatest supporter, your source of validation. I look at myself with love and see the beauty that exists in me. Think of Amanda, who couldn't look at herself in the mirror without feeling shame and self-criticism. She avoided mirrors whenever possible, and when she needed to see herself, she focused only on the flaws. When Amanda began practicing Louise Hay's mirror exercise, it was extremely difficult. She felt ridiculous, fake, and tears came easily. But she persisted. Every day, for a few minutes, she looked into her own eyes and said, "Amanda, I love you and accept you exactly as you are." At first, she didn't believe it, but over time, something began to change. Amanda noticed she was being kinder to herself and her thoughts. She stopped comparing herself so much to others. She began dressing in ways that made her feel good, not to please anyone. The mirror had become a portal to healing. Louise Hay teaches us that the mirror doesn't lie, but it also doesn't judge. It simply reflects. The judgment comes from you, from the beliefs you've internalized throughout life. When you practice mirror work, you're confronting those beliefs directly. You're telling your mind, no matter what you tell me, I choose to see myself with love. This is revolutionary. You're breaking years, perhaps decades, of negative conditioning, and each time you look at yourself with compassion instead of criticism, you're reinforcing a new programming. You're teaching your brain that you're worthy of love, not despite your imperfections, but including them. I accept myself completely, with all my qualities and imperfections. Mirror work can be expanded to different areas of your life. You can look at yourself in the mirror and forgive yourself for past mistakes. You can look at yourself and thank your body for everything it does for you. You can look at yourself and affirm your strength, your resilience, your ability to overcome challenges. According to Louise Hay, the mirror is a versatile and powerful tool for any type of emotional healing. And the most beautiful thing is that the more you practice, the more natural it becomes. There comes a moment when looking at yourself with love is no longer an effort. It's simply who you are. You become someone who treats yourself with dignity and respect, and that transforms everything. The mirror stops being an enemy and becomes a daily reminder of your commitment to self-love. Rewrite everything now. You're not trapped in the story you've lived until now. Louise Hay always reminded us that at any moment, we can choose to rewrite our narrative. Your wounds don't need to be the final chapter of your story. They can be the turning point that led you to transformation. When you choose your worth over your wounds, you're picking up the pen and becoming the author of your own life. You're not denying what happened, but you're deciding what it means to you now. You're choosing a story of overcoming, growth, and self-love, instead of a story of victimization and perpetual pain. This is the freedom no one can take from you, the freedom to choose how your story continues. Rewriting your story begins with the conscious decision that you deserve more. You deserve love, respect, joy, peace, and all the good things life has to offer. According to Louise Hay, worthiness is the foundation of everything. If you don't believe you deserve, you'll unconsciously sabotage the good things that come to you. You'll accept toxic relationships because you think you don't deserve better. You'll remain in situations that diminish you because you don't believe you deserve to thrive. But when you recognize your inherent worthiness, everything changes. You begin making choices aligned with your worth. You establish boundaries. You seek what makes you feel good. You become the protagonist of your life, not the supporting character. I deserve love, happiness, and all of life's blessings. Think of Sophia, who spent most of her life believing she didn't deserve to be happy because of mistakes she made in the past. She carried guilt and shame as if they were part of her identity. Her relationships were unsatisfying, her work was mediocre, and she lived in a constant state of resignation. When Sophia discovered Louise Hay, something awakened in her. She realized she was living a story she herself had created, based on old and painful beliefs. Sophia decided to rewrite her story. She began forgiving herself, practicing worthiness, affirmations, and making choices that honored her well-being. Gradually, her life began to reflect this new narrative. She found a healthy relationship, changed careers to something she loved, and most importantly, found peace with herself. Sophia didn't change her past, but she changed the meaning it had in her life. Louise Hay teaches us that rewriting your story isn't about creating a fantasy or pretending everything was always perfect. It's about integrating your experiences in a way that empowers you, not diminishes you. You can acknowledge that you went through difficulties and, at the same time, celebrate the strength you developed by overcoming them. You can honor your pain and also honor your capacity for healing. Your story can include difficult chapters, but they don't define the entire book. You have the power to write new chapters full of love, growth, and fulfillment. And the more you live from this new narrative, the more it becomes your reality. Your thoughts create your experience, and when you think from a place of worthiness and self-love, your life transforms. I am the author of my life, and I choose to write a story of love and empowerment. The story you tell yourself about who you are and what you deserve is the most important story you'll ever tell. According to Louise Hay, this story has the power to free you or imprison you. When you choose a story of self-love, worthiness, and possibilities, you open doors that previously seemed closed. You attract people and opportunities that resonate with this new energy. You become a magnet for good because you believe good is yours by right. And the most beautiful thing is that by rewriting your own story, you inspire others to do the same. You become a living example that it's possible to choose love over pain, worth over wounds. Your life becomes a testimony to the transformative power of self-love. And that's the greatest gift you can give yourself and the world. Your transformation begins. Now that you've absorbed all these teachings, it's time to put them into practice in a profound and transformative way. This exercise combines the power of mirror work and written expression to create a complete healing experience. Part 1. Preparing the sacred space. 2 minutes. Find a quiet place where you won't be interrupted. Light a candle or play soft, relaxing music. Breathe deeply 3 times, inhaling peace and exhaling any tension. This is your sacred moment of connection with yourself. Part 2. The mirror encounter. 5 minutes. Position yourself in front of a mirror where you can see your face clearly. Look directly into your own eyes. At first it may be uncomfortable, and that's okay. Breathe and stay present. Now, say out loud, looking into your eyes, I see you, I accept you, I love you. Repeat this several times, allowing the words to penetrate your heart. If tears come, let them flow. If resistance arises, acknowledge it with gentleness. Continue repeating until you feel a softness, an opening, even if subtle. Part 3. The love letter to yourself. 10 minutes now. Sit comfortably with paper and pen. You're going to write a love letter to yourself, as if you were writing to your best friend who's going through a difficult time. Begin with "Dear Your Name" and write everything your heart needs to hear. Acknowledge your struggles. Celebrate your victories. Forgive your mistakes. Affirm your worth. Write about how strong, resilient, and worthy of love you are. Don't censor your words. Let love flow freely through the pen. End the letter with a powerful affirmation, such as, I choose to love myself unconditionally from this day forward. Part 4. Integration and commitment. 3 minutes. Read the letter out loud to yourself, preferably in front of the mirror. Allow each word to resonate in your being. Then, place your hand over your heart and make this commitment. I commit to treating myself with love, kindness, and respect every day. I choose my worth over my wounds. Keep this letter in a special place and reread it whenever you need a reminder of your worth. Daily practice for the next 21 days. Commit to looking at yourself in the mirror every morning and saying, "I love and approve of myself exactly as I am." Just 30 seconds a day can completely transform your relationship with yourself. Louise Hay taught us that real change happens with consistent practice, and this is your invitation to start today. You'll never be the same. You made it here. And that alone shows your courage and commitment to your own healing. Everything we've shared today isn't just words. They are invitations to a new way of living, of relating to yourself, and of honoring who you really are. Louise Hay taught us that transformation happens when we choose love instead of fear, when we choose our worth instead of our wounds. And now you have the tools to make that choice every day. Start slowly, be gentle with yourself, and trust the process. You're worthy of all the love, all the peace, and all the happiness your heart desires. And remember, your story doesn't end with your wounds. It only begins when you choose to love yourself. Go in peace, go with love, and know that you're never alone on this journey.